Zara Hastings strode into the terminal at a bustling West Coast airport, her tailored navy blazer and pristine white blouse echoing the precision of a master strategist. For years, she'd built her reputation by closing high-stakes aviation finance deals and outmaneuvering doubt in boardrooms that reeked of patriarchal assumptions. Today, her destination was Phoenix, a brief 2-hour flight that, unbeknownst to her, would redefine power. As she boarded the plane, routine quickly curdled into an unsettling drama. A sharply observant attendant, blonde hair pulled into a severe bun, eyes flickering with suspicion, stepped forward and said, "Ma'am, I need to see your boarding pass once more." Zara's heart skipped a beat. She had just presented it at check-in. With a calm that belied the mounting tension, she retrieved her phone and displayed her digital ticket. Yet the attendant's smile faltered into something akin to disdain. "There appears to be a mix-up. Seat 3A is already claimed by another traveler," she announced, her tone devoid of any warmth. A ripple of silence spread along the narrow aisle as Zara's mind raced through years spent defying expectations in rooms where her competence was habitually underestimated. "Seat 3A is mine," Zara replied evenly, the quiet power in her voice a reminder of battles fought and won in hushed boardrooms. The attendant's irritation was palpable as she excused herself with, "I'll verify with the gate agent," leaving Zara to tap her fingers against the armrest as murmurs of curiosity and disbelief fluttered among fellow passengers. What began as a minor error had swiftly morphed into an open challenge. Moments later, the cabin's atmosphere darkened further. A second attendant, flanked by a reluctant male colleague whose discomfort was written all over his face, reappeared. In a tone that brooked no discussion, he declared, "Ma'am, there's an issue with your ticket. We must ask you to step off the plane so we can resolve this." The words, curt and uncompromising, cut through the low hum of the aircraft. Before Zara could muster a retort, 2 uniformed security officers emerged, their presence turning polite inquiry into cold command, "Please collect your belongings and exit the aircraft immediately." Disembarked and standing beneath the harsh glow of fluorescent lights, Zara felt the sting of public humiliation, a humiliation broadcast to a sea of curious eyes. Every whispered glance and sideways comment fanned the embers of her indignation, yet beneath it all burned a fierce resolve. In that moment, she was no longer just a passenger but a warrior wronged. With deliberate calm, she dialed a familiar number, a voice from her inner circle known for inciting seismic shifts in the industry. "I need a favor," she said, her tone measured yet laced with steel. As the din of rolling suitcases and muted announcements played around her, Zara's eyes gleamed with the promise of retribution. Almost immediately, an internal memo lit up her phone. Subject, immediate attention needed, incident on Flight 2-76. Corporate brass were already scrambling in whispered panic, and a major business magazine had caught wind of the debacle, a high-ranking executive unceremoniously ejected mid-flight. While the airline's leadership wrestled with their mounting crisis, Zara's mind was already orchestrating a counterstrike. Her phone then buzzed with a call from a corporate representative whose voice trembled with contrived regret. "Miss Hastings, we sincerely apologize for the misunderstanding and are investigating the matter," he offered, each word dripping with rehearsed sympathy. A cool smile played on Zara's lips as she countered, "Misunderstanding? I was forcefully removed, humiliated before an entire cabin, and now I'm met with a half-hearted apology?" Her words, both measured and incendiary, left the caller scrambling for a response before the line went silent. Determined not to let this insult go unanswered, Zara shifted gears. With precise, calculated movements, she reached out to Charles Mendez, a heavyweight in the realm of corporate takeovers whose reputation for orchestrating billion-dollar deals was as formidable as his presence. "This airline is on the brink," she confided in a hushed tone, as though sharing a secret weapon. "Their mismanagement is about to send their stock plummeting. I'm not interested in a mere stake, I want to steer the entire ship." Charles's deep, confident chuckle vibrated through the line. "I was wondering when you'd speak up. Give me 10 minutes. In that charged pause, the game had irrevocably changed. Within a mere fortnight, the winds of fortune had shifted dramatically. Zara reappeared at the same airport, but now she was not the dismissed passenger of a humiliating episode, she was the architect of a hostile takeover. The media, having latched onto her earlier ejection like a moth to a flame, buzzed with the tale of the executive who'd been unceremoniously booted off a flight. Investors trembled as board members fell away one after another, and in a swift, calculated coup, Zara assumed control of the beleaguered airline. Wandering through the terminal with an air of serene authority, Zara's gaze landed on a figure that stirred memories of her recent ordeal, a flight attendant, the same one whose earlier scrutiny had set the chain of events into motion. The attendant stood near the check-in counter, adjusting her uniform as if attempting to erase the trace of past arrogance. Time seemed to decelerate as their eyes locked. With a measured calm that brooked no defiance, Zara intoned, "Your role has just changed. From this moment forward, you work for me." The attendant's face drained of color, a silent acknowledgement that pride and policy had been irrevocably upended. Retreating into an executive lounge, a sanctuary of polished glass, supple leather, and hushed power plays, Zara allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. Outside the expansive windows, planes glided gracefully along the runway, each one a metaphor for the ambitions of those daring enough to dream. A notification from Charles reminded her of an imminent press conference. With a small, knowing smile, she mused, leadership isn't measured by titles or plush seats but by the courage to redefine the rules when the stakes are highest. As the evening sky deepened into twilight, Zara's thoughts turned reflective. Her triumph was not simply about reclaiming a denied seat, it was a clarion call to anyone who had ever been underestimated. Real power, she knew, lay in the audacity to rise after being cast aside. Never underestimate the person you try to silence, she mused silently, the lesson echoing like a promise. If this tale of transformation and tenacity stirred something within you, join the conversation. Subscribe for more stories where injustice fuels bold reinvention, and remember, the balance of power can shift in the blink of an eye.